Now, as the option class developer, we cannot realistically say to the application programmer, oh gee, when you include option.h, that means that you can't include stock.h. If we develop some facility that we expect other programmers to be able to use, such as a class or a collection of functions or whatever, it's completely reasonable for us to tell the application programmer, if you want to use such and such facility, you have to include such and such header. But it's unreasonable to say to the application programmer that you have to include such and such header, and oh, by the way, you can't include these other headers, etc. So the rule needs to be very simple. If you want to use this, include the header for this, period. In general, what this means is that we have to make it possible for any header to be included multiple times without any negative consequence. And a common trick for doing this is to use these things called macro guards. That is, we use a combination of if-and-def and pound-define inside of the header, so that if you include a header multiple times, only the first instance of that inclusion is compiled in and passed through to the translation unit. Any other includes that you do of the same header are simply compiled out. That is, they're not passed on to the translation unit. Here's how this looks on slide 17. Now, actually, let me recall what we had before. Here's what we started with for our stock.h file back on slide 12. We have a file named stock.h that contains a definition for the stock class, including its public members and its private members. But we saw that it's an error then if you accidentally include this file multiple times. So to get around this problem, what we'll do is we'll put an if-and-def at the beginning of the code contained in our header. We're saying if this token underscore stock underscore h underscore has not been defined, then pass along to the translation unit all of the statements from the pound-define statement up to but not including the end-if statement. Now, when that code between if-and-if and end-if is processed, we are defining the token underscore stock underscore h underscore. Notice that we don't have to define underscore stock underscore h underscore to be replaced by any sequence of characters. So that means if we did use underscore stock underscore h underscore in some part of our program, it would be replaced with literally no characters. But what we're using this token for is to prevent multiple inclusions of stock.h from causing us a problem. All right? The first time we include stock.h, the token underscore stock underscore h underscore is not defined, so we define it and we pull in a copy of the definition for the stock class. Now, if stock.h is included a second time, in that second include of stock.h, we will get to this if-and-def, and this time the token underscore stock underscore h underscore is defined, so all of the code from the if-and-def up and including the end-if is simply ignored. It's not passed on to the translation unit. By using this macro guard trick, we can include the stock.h file 50 times, 1,000 times. The first one will cause the definition of the stock class to be incorporated into the translation unit to be passed along to the compiler, but any subsequent ones will simply cause the duplicate definitions of class stock to be compiled out, that is, to not be passed along to the compiler. There's nothing magic about this particular token underscore stock underscore h underscore. You simply want to write a token that's related to the name of the header file and it's very unlikely to conflict with another pound define of that same token that was established for some other purpose. Now that we have our macro guards in place in the stock.h header and also presumably in the option.h header, let's take a look at an application program on slide 18 that illustrates the benefit of these macro guards in these headers.